We will see.
Let's switch to English.
Yes, please, sir. Let's switch to English.
A wonderful Tuesday afternoon, outside world. I hope you can hear us well.
If not, well, that's your problem.
If you can just see our lips moving and no sounds comes out, then please open a ticket with our technical support at Carsten Zamaschke.
English for beginners. Lisa and Paul are sitting in the kitchen.
Oh, that is like really the
Paul
old.
sitzen im Kitchen.
Hänsenen und Gretenen, Rücksrück, die Wirkne Gehölzenen.
What?
Oh, poor Carsten.
What is that? I know. There is something there. That's Mr. Ranson visible in the border of my picture. Now it looks clean.
Clean shots for dirty business.
Clean code for dirty minds.
Cleaning for dirty toilets?
No, not really.
It's good to see you guys. Good morning.
Yeah!
Hello.
A wonderful good afternoon, everybody.
How is your world today?
Right now, my world is foggy, cloudy, and rainy. The whole day. Gray skies, lots of rain coming down, cold winds. I like it. Actually, it feels like Dark Souls. It's cool.
What? Hello. Well, the week is fine, but it's only Tuesday. That's all I have to say. It's only Tuesday. So doesn't matter. You know, when the sun always shines in my head. It's okay.
I mean, you got the rainbow, and also Tuesday, so much more week to come.
Right. I get to do this show with great people.
Which one?
Yeah, it's all fine and dandy. How are you, Carsten?
I have a Christopher in my head. That hurts. Ouch. 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 Ouch.
I would make you do weird stuff.
You always
I could your mind.
always make me doing weird stuff, frankly.
Thinking about it. Oh, well, great. Hello, everyone. Hello, world.
So you're not interested in knowing how I am?
Yeah, I asked, but you didn't reply.
And it's again the wrong button. Chris, remember like 3 weeks ago when I told you that I was basically going to replace my Mac and set up a new system? Remember that?
I do remember. That was personally one of my highlights.
Well, I did. And that's why I'm completely stuck with technology. I had to reset up everything. I had to ultimately get it up and running again with different technology. It's a pain in the ass.
Right? You had to use real hardware and real software and all this good computing stuff. But you know, don't worry not. You know, we're open source and community guys, and if you want, I'll teach you how to use Google. And you know, problem solved. You'll become a power user in no time.
So it all starts with you activate Edge, then you go on Bing, you type in Google, and search for Chrome.
Search for Chrome.
No. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to search for Chrome at all. No chance.
Oh, take the iron. Iron's actually quite fair, but the lag a bit behind in upgrade wise, but actually it's the old Chromium core behind it. They just release it as their own browser. So yeah,
I'm like way back from the 90s or early 2000s. I'm using Firefox.
So
nice.
So do I.
Because it's good, it's clean, it works, it always has. It has a billion developer tools, it has a million extensions you can use and they actually work. It's swift, it's open, it's yay!
Actually, I do have a sweet spot for Opera, so I can't really get away from it. So my main browsers, depending on environment, is either Firefox or Opera.
Yeah, I've heard that like internet with Opera is really fast because half the page doesn't load, so you the maximum of your bandwidth.
Can somebody of you please check the audio on the internet?
It seems to be.
I did not wanted to see you.
So, whereabouts are we streaming? Does this also run on Twitch or just on LinkedIn?
We should be streaming on Twitch as well. Twitch TV / open.clouds.dev. Open Clouds. Yeah, twitch.tv / open.clouds.
Oh yeah, we do have echo.
I just checked, it works.
Awesome, because I haven't seen it and I did not hear anything, so that's great. That is great. So, it basically implies that I set up everything the right way.
Yoo-hoo!
Is it maybe today the time we talk about layer 8 problems?
Why should we start doing that today? I mean, specifically today.
Because I think, it is very important to educate people on this show, and there's the OC model, and one of the layers is layer 8.
And it also...
Well, basically, some people aren't really fit for standard when it comes to modern end-user computing. And in very many cases, it turns out that the problem is sitting in front of the PC rather than inside of the PC.
Yeah, it's also related to as a so-called pepcake, problem existing between keyboard and chair.
There you have it.
Here I am.
Hello.
I'm still not happy with what I'm doing here because I feel like we still have some sort of audio delay. But anyway, for today it's good enough, and I'll figure out the other stuff. Because what I'm using is open source. Because I actually switched away from my beloved Ecom towards Ops Studio. And now it is open source, and now I'm like, left alone and lost to some extent.
I just read that there is an echo in the stream.
You have
Carsten's side.
There is an echo. Are you sure?
I'm asking.
I don't have an echo.
No.
I don't know if you get the same audio as the... no, you don't get the same audio because then you would have an echo. Because you hear me and you hear Dom directly.
Just one viewer just paged me and said that there is an echo. So I'm just asking if the echo is still existing and haven't gotten a reply yet. So
if the echo is still existing.
Hey. What? You here.
When does it start?
It was so nice when the show was just a show of Dom and me.
What? No.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words, they cannot harm me.
Ooh. Very poetic.
I'm too tired for that. But let's continue speaking about layer 8 problems, because here's one. I'm layer 8 problem. So, then Chris, why don't you just tell me about your worst nightmare with a layer 8 problem?
Ew, that would get very private very fast. But no, it really would. I can't say this. It's before 10 p.m. This is a family show. The biggest layer 8 problem is inaccessibility of actually great software.
Okay.
Because if you don't, you were just saying, oh, I moved to this open source and I'm all lost and alone, and that very often creates a lot of layer 8 problems. Missing documentation, bad user interfaces, buttons that should be there but aren't. Okay, I do have a classic, and this is because, I work in an IT company with a lot of developers, and the greatest thing that happens is I take a lot of time to write a great email, be very clear, maybe, have it in nice little paragraphs, attach some pictures, maybe a PDF, and then you send the email out, and like 5 days later, you haven't had a reply, and you walk up, to the guy you sent an email saying like, what the fuck, man? I put all this crap together and I never received a reply. And this guy tells you, well, your email was useless. There was no information in it. And then, I start putting the pieces together. And then you ask like, dude, how do you receive, send, read emails? And they go, well, from the terminal, man. Because any other way of reading, sending, and receiving emails sucks. Like, why the hell would I want a piece of software on my machine to receive an email? And it's not as funny as it seems, because stuff like that can cause serious miscommunication and in the worst case cost revenue and productivity. So that's a very good example in my books for bad layer 8 problems, where absolute professional techies are working with stuff, but we still have the issue of the human component sometimes not working the way you expected it to.
Oh, that's a really great example. It also shows how easy, or basically how much entropy there is to certain specific things. If you say, I'm going to send you an email, and your perception is, right, this will be more or less plain text, maybe PGP'd, but basically plain text that I can just bash our terminal into, and you are preparing this nice HTML document with a lot of fancy stuff included, etc., and metric ton of pictures, and basically all that comes out is just a bunch of broken links that nobody can make any sense out of it. And yeah, basically because email was not understood in the same frame. So interesting experience. Cool.
Yes, also another layer 8 problem, because you said PGP keys, right? Never, and I repeat, never try to go to a PGP signing party and try to pick up women. I'm not gonna fill you in on details as a family show, but don't do that. Bad idea.
I can add one very recent example of a typical layer 8 problem. I was working on another stack the past days and weeks, and I did a lot of changes for our 2010 release, and I did that on the first computer I set up and made once I sold my Mac. And last weekend, I basically set up a second computer with my eldest son. It was a lot of fun. And I then decided to basically completely wipe the first computer. And after I wiped the computer, I started asking myself, did I actually commit and push the changes I did over the past 5 days? And it turned out, well, not so much. That was a nice little layer 8 problem, because it was truly a layer 8 problem. And
Ouch.
it was pain in the ass, just very positively.
That is sad to hear, Carsten.
Oh,
But
yeah.
don't worry. A big thing in open source is copy and paste. Just get it from somewhere else.
No, what I did is basically what I'm just doing, by the way, is I'm editing a chat source. So when somebody wants to talk to us, he or she can do that. So that is what you just saw. So for example, when email is going to send us messages, that is going to work out then. Just wanted to say that. No, I basically redid everything. Yeah, that was basically that. I ultimately learned again, like layer 8. I should not make too many jokes about it because it could be. And it's not the first time, frankly, that I managed to basically screw up that way. And specifically as somebody who did development for quite a long time of his life, I ultimately ended up with like the worst thing a developer could do. So, well, yeah, it's... It happens.
The worst thing a developer could do back in the day was run out of beer and weed because compiling really took a long time.
No, that is basically the best thing that could happen because then you could buy new weed in better quality. Frankly, again, I heard that so often, and I used that as an excuse towards customer like 10 years ago. Like, yeah, I tried to check in, it did not work, and then my computer crashed. I don't know how many crashes I had over the years. But this time it was real, and that pissed me off so much. And Chris and I, we talked just this morning, having a short conversation. He was like, "Hey man, what's going on? Why have you been so upset the past days?" Well, that is part of the reason. Because I had to redo everything. I mean, the good thing is I did not have to redo that from scratch. Because I already did it, so you know the solutions then. But it was a pain in the ass. It was. It truly was. Welcome to my life.
Sad to hear. Although, actually, yeah, I think you touched a very interesting point there. So crashes do still happen every now and then. But if I recollect, let's say my system history, then I would say, yes, I still encounter the occasional breakdowns of hardware, etc. But facing a real data crash scenario that hits me completely unprepared actually hasn't happened in the last years. I mean, knock on wood. So
sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Don't
But the basic resilience, I think, has improved. I mean, it starts with running systems that carry multiple hard disks, where you just out of a habit start to shift some stuff around. Maybe I mean, of course, with our own local infra, it completely went bonkers when we started having own internal network, redundant access points, additional NAS, etc. So just for this setup, it has already been or started to be a bit, let's say, above regular user level. But even on the path to that point, I think there's a lot of more awareness of critical data legacy, etc. So, and you know that a laptop might crash down or get stolen, etc. So you start to include things like local backup, external storages, etc. So it's just, in a nutshell, a kind of the same things that drove people into the cloud in the first place.
Did that actually really and truly change? Frankly, I'm not too sure. It's perhaps, I mean, you got a little bit more adult and grown up, let me put it that way. And perhaps you decided not to do the same mistakes then again. But is that a trend? I would basically doubt that because the wrong parts of the screen, pardon me on that. But frankly, because what I see is basically still the average Joe just relying on his or her luck. I've seen that so many times, and frankly, to some extent, I am the average Joe myself. Perhaps not for my computers, perhaps not for my I don't know, commercial data, but for example, looking into my private cloud environment, my next cloud. Let me put it that way. I basically rely that not all of my computers having crashing hard disks at the same time, because the computer the next cloud is running on is not secured. It is secured, but not backed up by any means. So if the next cloud is crashing with like 25 gigabytes of photos, I rely on having it mirrored across multiple devices up front.
But I mean, that's
Pardon me?
But that's exactly the start. So it's getting harder and harder to actually throw you back to square one. So because you have
but you were basically, if I understood you properly, you were basically referring to that as being something that comes from people learning things. And I was like, yeah, it might be true in your case. But again, here, see the huge 8 here? That is me. That is my layer 8. I am the layer 8 problem.
It might be similar, you know, if you show a modern Gen Z or maybe even some of the millennials music cassette, you know, they have no idea what you should do with that. Same if you show them a normal diskette.
What is that?
But the thing is, I think we are being trained by big companies to not care about stuff like that. Think about it. When you get a new Android phone or iPhone, you insert your SIM card, you put in your ID, wait for a couple of minutes, and all your apps, all your numbers, all your pictures are back. And I'd say, like, out of all the non-technical friends that I do have, a lot of people don't think about it. You know, it's just there, it's awesome, it's part of the service, yay!
Exactly, but that is because the focus has shifted. Because for most people, mobile phones and tablets are becoming an increasingly part of their regular, let's say, IT usage. So even laptops are not like as on vogue as having the newest tablet, the newest or the biggest iPhone with foldable, tiltable, whatever screens, and you just basically have the small thingy and suddenly bloop, there you go, which is still a completely different pair of shoes compared to our user profile regarding, let's say, PC hardware. So, yes. But for this market specific, the industry was clever enough to provide this kind of layer 8 pampering, so that, for example, you have your iOS, you have your Android, and all your contacts are stored. I mean, we still remember, like with the first phones, where they usually had like maybe 20 numbers internal storage, and you could choose whether you saved it on the phone or you saved it on the SIM card, but the SIM card only had a very static and very small amount of space, and then people started having more than one telephone number, which completely screwed the information structure of your SIM card saved contacts, etc. So I mean, we've been there, and if you drop your Nokia, well, you have a crater. But if you drop anything else, then suddenly the phone is broken and all contacts are gone. And how many messages have you received like, I lost my phone, so I just sent this to everybody. Please reply so I know who you are, blah, blah, blah. I mean...
Yeah, but perhaps I'm then again like too, how do I put it, too...
Let's say old school, it sounds friendly.
So what I just wanted to ask in that regard is basically, isn't that then again, the need is understood. The need is totally understood. In regards to the need, I'm totally on Dom's side. No, we definitely have no discrepancy there. Not at all. But what I'm just thinking of is, isn't that then another kind of a prison, golden gate, a golden cage that is created by if you say Android or iPhone by Google or Apple, basically forcing you then back again into their ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Isn't it like that?
So absolutely, yeah, you're right. So it's kind of a login. I was just addressing the factor that people getting more pampered and more protected against data loss. That in 99% of the cases, they don't take care themselves, but have outsourced the responsibility to Google or an Apple. I mean, but that would be actually the next interesting step where we talk about data responsibility.
Have we
You know,
had
the
a great conversation just last week, the both of us?
the great question is if, in an alternate dimension, Apple goes bankrupt, Google goes bankrupt, the Google mobile part. I've probably in the meantime saved half my life on my Google Cloud, because it's just what my phone does.
That is a huge problem. Frankly, that is, and that is basically the problem when you rely on that. But you don't have to wait for an alternative kind of reality. Because just think of what happens when Google closes down your Gmail account with your G Drive and so on and so forth. That happens regularly. Because they have the kind of attitude to basically shut you down and then send you an email to that account and ask you whether you want to clarify anything. So that happened quite often. The same happened with Microsoft and OneDrives. The same happened with Apple accounts and the iCloud. Problem is if you basically just rely on their golden cage to work and to function properly, you might end up being left alone. You might end up in a situation where you are completely, although you trust the environment, you completely lose out on anything, on everything. Pardon me.
But they've created it as new normal. Think about it. Do we really think about it when I want to watch a movie that's not included in Prime or on Netflix? I can purchase it on Prime, and I spend money with them.
Isn't it? You just because you just purchased the right to stream it via Prime. But if, for example, Prime loses the right to stream the movie, well, your purchase is gone. Until Prime basically repurchased the right. And that has been visible several times. I feel like I was affected by that as well. Because I was, for example, buying Lost on Prime, and then they lost the rights to stream.
And you were lost.
Yes.
In the second season of Lost.
I mean, I was quite relaxed because I was still having my 6 DVD boxes, and it then was acquired by Netflix. But the point is that happened all the time. And yes, that is a huge problem there.
I think it emphasizes the AAS approach in this world. So like everything is at a service. But nothing is for the owns. So basically, I mean, what I still used to do whenever I get like a new album, so for example, like for DEFCON or Cubase, whatever, I still have one PC with an optical drive. So I just throw the CD in, basically rip it myself, and throw it on my devices. So I still have a growing MP3 pool based on the original volumes that I have because I like them, I like to collect them, etc. But this is like getting a more and more abstract concept. For example, I rarely use Spotify. I mean, we do have a Spotify family account, but it's usually just for Wi-Fi and the kid. But I rarely use it. It never gotten to me. So sometimes I look up a single song, but it's still this. I like to own the music that I'm listening to. And in the worst case scenario, I still have like the original DVD, and I could get a medium to rip it again, put it in digital form that I can put it back on my mobile and carry it around. But it has become like really.
Hasn't it? I mean, yes. If you, but then the question to me is, what if you just buy a digital copy, basically rip the digital copy, like take the example of the Amazon Prime movie Chris was referring to, for example. have you acquired the right to burn that one onto your DVD and to have it like stored around, or what?
I mean that you can actually make a legit decentral security copy. So, I mean, yeah,
that is allowed. I'm allowed to have one copy of something that I actually own. That was music. The music industry was really great until the internet happened.
But Chris, there's a problem then again with that. You are allowed to have a copy as long as you don't turn off any kind of copy protection. Because removing copy protection is a crime, at least in the States. And I feel like not only in the States, but also in other countries as well. So
I grew up in this funny time, back in the late 90s. We didn't figure that it was illegal to peer-to-peer share software.
It wasn't back then. It wasn't.
Napster.
The same is true for copy.
We just
it was not illegitimate. It was okay. Back
it was inviting.
Times.
Yeah, I mean, I just see, I love actually all the easiness and ease of use and accessibility of modern software technologies, all the little subscriptions you can buy to make your life easier. But yeah, the big question, and we actually did have this last week also, where I had the example with the car. Open up the hood and all you'll see is one big piece of plastic. And although I know how a car works, how a motor looks, or although I know how a PC looks from the inside, I couldn't even get at it if I wanted to, And the big question always is, am I actually getting a fair service for the money that I'm paying? Or are they just telling me I'm a premium customer, but actually, I'm not. Actually, I just have a different profile when I log on, or I might have access to one or two other things, but that doesn't make me a premium customer. That doesn't make the service better as is, when you go to restaurants, there's 1, 2, and 3 star Michelin restaurants, and all it comes down to in the end is not so much the actual food, because at that point kind of cooking is cooking, but it's about the service, about the ambience, about how well and how appreciated do you feel as a customer. And it would be a total no-brainer for anybody to go to a restaurant and be disappointed if the food is crap, or if it's overly expensive, or if they're saying they're serving some kind of exclusive caviar, but they bought a pound of it really, really cheap off the internet, who knows what it is. You'd always complain. You'd go up to the chef or to the restaurant manager and say like, hey, this is a problem, man. You're just not giving me what I ordered, what I paid for. But you won't do that with digital services and goods you buy. There we're all kind of, you can't call up Mr. Microsoft and say like, hey.
But I think it's a bit similar. So you do have a lot of, let's say, very quick responsive experiences. So for like most of your base packages. So comparing to a mobile contract, especially in the pre-smartphone area where bandwidth was absurdly expensive. I mean, it's still ridiculous today, but at that time when you actually paid by the megabyte. But also there you had factors, for example, you paid for a specific service, let's say, and you had like E+ and D2, D1, like all the old providers. And suddenly,
Intercom was mine.
Yeah, Intercom, yeah. But
I was amongst the first customers of the Intercom back then. Really, and I was amongst the first to delete them because the service sucked back then. The quality of service.
But you also had like this base level that everybody you paid for expected. Yeah, but you expected at least to have connectivity. Or in E+ case, I mean, they had this huge pitch that SMS was for free. So everybody was typing SMS the whole time, just sitting in front of each other, just like, haha, I press click and it made me just like.
What I was just referring to is in Germany, you might remember Base was the E+ sub-brand that basically brought a flat rate onto the market. First true flat rate, no metering for voice, unfortunately. And later on, they were amongst the first to bring in an was it UMTS? Yeah, a UMTS flat as well, with like what was it, 1 gigabyte?
I don't know.
That was ridiculously much back then.
That was the most scary thing you could do on old school mobile phones back in the day. Press the internet button and then start panicking. You know?
Oh my God, there's this globe showing up. No, switch it off. You're burning house and everything. No. That was horror.
But guys, how did we come to that part of the discussion?
Actually, what I want to say is you have this base level of service that you expect for the money that you pay. And if anything infringes that, for example, if I know I'm paying to have a phone with free SMS, so as long as I can call people and SMS get processed, everything else is more or less okay. So, but then I start to ramp up, like having quality services, etc., and some additional volumes and high bandwidth and blah blah. So, just like in the restaurant case, after a specific, let's say, price, you do expect that the quality of the food has to be fine end of it. You don't have to discuss it. So everything on top is the ambience, the surrounding, the atmosphere. So if I'm like the platinum customer, then I expect to get like, let's say the newest flagship phone sent from their side without mentioning anything, because I don't know, run a company and have like 1,000 customers running with that provider or whatever. So this is something that comes on top and it rounds the package. So what I'm paying for is not the base service, because it would still be able to work as a telephone and would be able to process SMS, but everything else, which is somehow lost in the price, is this whole as a service that comes along with it. And I think even in IT, there is still a lot of things that actually instant fire back if they just suck. Like if you get like your personal V server for €1.99 a month, and you go like, oh yeah, cool,
that's so money. That is, it does not necessarily need to be more expensive, because you need to scale down perhaps your own expectations a little bit.
Exactly, but then they go and they just like throw Windows Server 2019 on it and some stuff, and server goes meep.
No, that would still be great, because it's Windows, it's proprietary software made by
professionals.
Microsoft, by professionals. Exactly.
And most companies never state in their advertisement that they are offering cheap prices for high quality, but they always only say we're cheaper than the others.
Interesting enough,
that's what they do.
I was one of my contacts on LinkedIn. I tried to paraphrase that because it was a German posting. But he was just yesterday writing something like being truly cheap is more honest than being insisting on something just being cheap is more honest and more straightforward than insisting on a higher price for a better quality, because it says with cheap and with cheapo and baseline quality, you are more honest, you are more straightforward, because it cannot get worse, but you do actually just pay for the base level of things that basically fits to some extent to what you just said, Dom, in that regard.
Thanks. I mean, we do have these sandbox instances that we offer. I mean, those things are bloody cheap.
Awesome things.
But they're nice to just try out stuff. And of course, if you want to have anything with a rough idea of high availability, it wouldn't make sense to run a single one. You just should take at least 5 or 6 of them, because they're bound to screw up.
More is better, always.
Yeah, no, but because they are so cheap. So you just basically say, all right, before I start to invest in like real systematic infrastructure, you can basically just run those things, and because they're cheap, and it's they will have like performance issues.
Wait. Oh, he's already gone. We had a guest. I was not able to see him before. There is somebody. I see a shadow. Shadow of a Chris.
Hello.
Hello again.
Where have you been?
Trying to light up my dull life.
No.
there's no need for
Oh no, it's all good. How could my life be dull when I'm in this awesome show with you guys?
well, I can tell you. For first, because you are in this awesome show with us. Secondly, it's us. Thirdly, layer 8 me.
The rainbow.
Many reasons.
All right.
No, but then where does it leave us? What is basically the message? I mean, if I recall what we were discussing or what we were talking about, we started with layer 8. Okay, yeah, understood. I am the layer 8 problem. But then we basically head over to cloud-ish stuff like securing things. We ended up in Apple's and Google's golden cages.
Touched on being responsible for your own data or your own
and
data
then we had that
whereabouts,
kind of
more or less.
premium versus base stuff. It currently leaves me with a feeling of despair.
Well, I think it's quite interesting if a lot of things are in the internet are offered for free, but I think a lot of people don't understand that if it says it's for free, it only means it doesn't cost you any money. So
we shall get your soul.
Exactly. So there's quite a lot to be gained, farmed, harvested, and traded in the internet. That's not money. So and I think that a lot of people are not very aware of it. And also I think that's exactly if you have like your free Google account and you store stuff there, and suddenly shit goes south and you can't log in, you can't get access to your data. I mean, from what kind of perspective are you about to complain? Hey, I'm that one of a bazillion customers that doesn't pay shit, that just feeds you with some data, and now I just demand something. But if you if you run some kind of infrastructure where all your emails is like run in dedicated clusters and you pay some vast support fees, etc., no matter if it's hosted exchange or whatever solution runs beneath it. But suddenly there is a situation of entitlement because you took care for it, you made yourself up, you made up your mind about it, or you hired people to think that through for you, and you set up this cluster, and you have like all your emails and correspondence for your company running there, and like the long-term archives for all the billings and the salaries, all this legal stuff that goes around it. But you invested in it, and so even if shit goes south now, if stuff doesn't work, you can basically say, hey, this is what we guaranteed on. There's some really solid contract work. And I think that's
Or you can pay double the amount and become a premium customer.
Exactly. Or you pay double the amount, become a premium customer. But
then that won't happen. Then I'll guarantee you this won't happen. You're better than the rest.
But I think that's still present out there. And maybe, we had this outlook like 20 years and outlook. We had this idea about 20 years in the future. Maybe there will not be so much a two-class internet where we had this discussion about like peerings, etc., and developing a second-class, lower-class internet and all, why it's important to avoid this. But maybe we will approach kind of cloud classes,
Ooh, that would be so awful. There's been even some of the large-scale companies. It was only a couple of weeks ago that Carsten and myself talked about GitHub getting rid of the master and slave terminology, which is, you can have any view on that as you might, but that was something to say. Actually, we're opening up, but how broken is the system if we're taking words like master and slave out of the mix, but creating different classes within the users that are using my systems? Isn't that?
I friggin' whitelist my own fucking VLAN. And I'm dark-skinned, so. But it's a whitelist. How racist of me. But
how can you?
Yeah, I should put my device on the blacklist,
I feel you. People hate me for the color of my skin sometimes too. But who cares? We're against this in this show. Who knew?
Lives matter. People matter. And people mentality matters. So.
Oh well. So we don't want different classes of the internet. That's what we're saying here.
Exactly. And that's basically something that we have to be aware not to run into. So yeah, actually, and sometimes quality has a price, and we should be aware not to fall into this cheap trap. That everything is free, everything is cheap.
Tom, what do you use to ultimately decide whether it is worth the price or not? Because that is basically why I got stuck when we talked about premium versus not premium. What do you actually pay for? Why would you pay for? I would pay for example, things that support my principles, such as I don't know, open source.
Oh,
wow! I would pay for that just to support that.
And we should all sign up for the Open Source Act of 2028.
I wanted to touch on that. Are you aware of the Open Source Act of 2028, Chris?
No, I'm not, but it sounds awesome. I'll sign.
Dom and I, last week had our weekly Cloud Nights show in German. We decided that we look onto the current situation from 20 years in the future, and we referenced the Cloud Open Source Act of 2028, which basically defined that there is no such thing as proprietary software allowed anymore. We also referenced the privacy vault that was introduced like in 3, 4, 5 years from now. Which basically disrupted the whole hyperscale environment, because think of that vault pretty much like some sort of a Google login, although we just said it is disrupting. But you have your data stored in an ecosystem and in an environment that you trust. You sign or you connect that data with an external environment by just putting it in, giving access permissions, but the data actually never actually leaves your environment because it's your data. That basically disrupted, from a 2040 perspective, that basically disrupted the hyperscale environment because at least the part of the business that is basically data collecting did not work out anymore. And then hyperscalers just became ordinary cloud providers, and I so much loved it. Those two things, the Open Source Act and the privacy vault, those were great things. I really loved them.
We should push the hashtags for those, so people get aware of it.
When
and
will I sign?
People will start to actually put this stuff together. I mean, it's the internet. People go out there, make the Open Source Act of 2028 reality. So
I'll be campaign manager. I'll be campaign manager for that.
Perfect.
You actually are, because we already decided on that.
Yeah. You are the face of the project, exactly. With Rainbow. Awesome.
Hello, everybody. Please do not use hyperscalers because they are evil. Technology
No, Chris. They are not per se evil. Just their business practices are crap.
We're from Germany. We've heard that storyline once before. But, not to take this too far now. They're all good. They're working for my personal benefit, and I, as the customer, have always felt very, very valued by the companies and vendors I use in my everyday life. It's awesome being free.
And maybe to sum up.
Pardon me. Go ahead, Tom.
No worries. And basically, just to sum up or to kind of finish the idea that Carsten started. So, and if you join this whole premium and platinum customer area, I think it very much depends on what you personally like. So, for example, I think the restaurant example is very fitting. Sometimes you just want I don't know, like good sausage and fries, and sometimes you want the whole atmospheric stuff around it, and maybe because you have like a specific reason or whatever. And I think it's very similar. So, for example, I like good service, and you can tell me quite a lot of stuff if it's presented in a way that actually, yeah, feels like people care for what they do. So, and yeah. So instead of just
we need to roll back to real life. You know, there's one bit of proof that the algorithm and big data analytics and all this crap is not as good as a real life experience, and it's my pizza guy. I could order online, but when I call this dude, you know, he only hears my voice and he goes like, "I got you, bro," and hangs right back up. And 20 minutes later, my favorite pizza from my favorite delivery guy with an added drink, because I've been a customer for so long, stands in front of my doors, you know, and it's beautiful. It's so awesome. I couldn't get that service online. Although they're trying to tell us everything is customized and personalized and bloody crap, you know, an algorithm will be an algorithm. It's not a thinking emotional being. That's what we're trying to create, but it's not working. You know, neural networks, AI, ML, all this crap is fine and dandy. But one thing, and Isaac Asimov already knew that back in the day, that robots don't have and that machines don't have is emotions, and emotions are important. Thank you. Thank you, sirs. And thank you to my pizza guy. I really like you. You're my only friend.
And this brings you to a very important point. I have another 2 mouths to feed, and I should take care about it. So, and it's past 6 already. And that's the maximum of time allowance that I can give.
Well, could this maybe correlate with certain layer 8 problems we were talking about? Going online like 20 minutes.
That is a bad thing, Chris, because he's talking about his daughter, and you are now saying like, could that correlate with layer 8 problem?
I think I got Chris quite right. So
I want to get it wrong.
And I was backstabbing you in cold blood.
It could maybe be a problem with a certain layer around certain things, but let's also not go into that. No, have fun and enjoy dinner, enjoy family time.
I will.
And
it has been a pleasure to be around you guys.
Back next week for more shenanigans.
Oh yeah, it would be awesome.
And for less technical problems in the beginning.
Yeah! We can only improve from here. So
we won't trust the cloud anymore.
Never did that. We never did that. Don't trust the cloud. Trust Chris.
Trust your own cloud.
Yes. Right.
Bye guys.